Welcome everyone to Horror Film Roulette!
The podcast. All right, should we start, I guess? Okay, we'll start the podcast. My name is Eric Steele.
I am Terry.
This episode is brought to you by TH3 Studio. It's the studio. And our guest tonight, the winner of this year's 2018 Horror Film Roulette film competition, Neil Willoughby.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. This is our kickoff podcast. Don't really know how this is going to work out, but thank you for being on this maiden voyage. So,
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
all right. So first off, I guess let's talk about the winning film, The Scarf. I mean, what would you like to say about it? I mean, one, I absolutely love the fact of how you transformed this film from being this straight up awesome slasher film, and then towards the end, you somehow turned it from a horror film almost into a comedy, like with no bits of, with one word of dialogue. And I'm not going to spoil anything like that, but for those who want to watch it, you can check it out on the Horror Film Roulette YouTube channel. But yeah, where did that come from, man?
It was just working through it. I don't know. This was my fourth year entering the competition, so a lot of trial and error, I guess.
Yeah. Oh my God! And the fact that you've been with us for like 4 years, I mean, we're always ecstatic to see what you present, because I mean, it's just so much fun. I was worried you weren't going to be doing a film this year, because at the mixer, I remember you saying like, "Yeah, I'm really you are a busy guy, man. You are doing tons of stuff," and we were I was really sad, because I'm like, I don't think he's going to make one this year. He's just so bogged up. And then when it came up, I was like, yes, Neil's making one. And then you won. And by the way, we have absolutely nothing to say about who wins, right, Terry?
Right. No. We just have people turn in the movies, and then we give them away to the Detroit Film Critics Society. And so a lot of times, like, their opinions are different from ours. But this year I think they got it pretty good.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
I mean, like we saw Neil's movie and we're like, oh damn, this is good.
Well, and you also won audience choice too. So it's, I mean, clearly you hit the mark with everyone
I hit
across the
something.
board. So
It was a lot of fun. I think a big thing for me this year was the cast and crew I had with me. When I started doing this competition 4 years ago, I was kind of a one-man show on a lot of everything. And as you guys know, like, film is a very collaborative process.
100%, yeah.
So with that being said, I had a really strong team this year, and I could focus on my job as writer and director and editor after the fact. But on the set, I was the director. You know, and I had people I could rely on for everything else. I had, like, I don't know, I just had such a great team behind me, and that made everything run so smoothly. And, like, the biggest thing is I had people who wanted to be there, which is hard sometimes. You know, I mean, especially when you're shooting, like, on no budget, it can be hard to get people or, you know, people who are both talented and willing to be there, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that being said, everybody just had a great attitude on set, and they were, like, super professional, ready to go. Everyone was behind the project, and that was a really good feeling as a director to, like, you know, be helming this project, and everybody be like, yeah, what do you need? We got it. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do this. So
I actually got a chance to meet your DP, Mike Lucido, right? Yeah.
he told me about that.
Yeah, and it was so great. Like, we were working on a shoot for, like, it was like a political campaign ad, it wasn't so much a political campaign ad, but it was like an interview that he had set up and he was doing, and he was like, oh yeah, I worked with Neil. I was his DP for The Scarf. I'm like, oh my God, that's awesome. And so I think we talked about having him come in here today, but I never had a chance to follow up because of just busyness as well.
Fair.
But yeah, great guy. And yeah, how long have you? He worked on last year's film as well.
He did.
And I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
I guess I imagined that you shot it. I mean, I'm sure you put it in the credits, and I'm ashamed to say that I didn't look at the credits.
It's like 2 slides. We were so crunched for time. Like, we were so crunched for time because we have all this stuff shot that, like, Mike and I got for, like, B-roll for an opening credit sequence, and, like, there's whole scenes we cut out because just of the, like, time restraint on it. So at the end, I was like, well, I want everybody to get credit. So it's, like, 2 little, like, just static titles. So,
Hey, you know what? Honestly, though, that works, though. I mean, some of the films I kind of almost encourage, like, don't worry about the credits. We'll put that in, you know, if we once we post it on YouTube. That way, you know, everyone gets the credit that they deserve. And, you know, because sometimes with the screening that we do at the theater, it's just, you know, like film. So it's kind of hard to remember those credits. It's easier when it's a single film. And then half the time people don't even sit for credits, which, I mean, yeah.
Right.
I wish they did, because there's been many times like, oh, I'm in this. No one's watching. No one's paying
and
attention.
everybody left it.
So yeah, so I guess how long did it take you to make this thing? I know we have 2 weeks, but like how long did it
Yeah,
take you?
I think I took probably the first 4 days to nail down exactly what I wanted to do with the script. And so script was written by day 5. We had already planned. So one thing I've learned over being in this competition for the past couple years here is how to pre-plan for it. Like, I talked to everyone I was going to be working with a month beforehand and was like, hey, these are the days we're going to shoot. And I planned on 2 shooting days and 1 day of pickups. And I was like, this is how it's going to be. I need you to make your schedule work for this. And everybody did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's very smart. Well, I guess if you've been doing this for 4 years, you sort of have the system down. You're like, okay, I know when it's due.
So my first year, right? First year was when we did Hennepin County.
Yes,
Hennepin County.
Charlie Brown.
All right, no, don't give it away. I want people to go back and check out Hennepin County Murders. Right? That's the name of it.
Yeah,
Hennepin County Murders.
Just censor that part.
It's just so well done, and I remember watching it and being like at the end, holy crap! And then I rewatched it because I'm like, there's that character, there's that, holy cow! And it was just I was a fan of that one as well. So I think that was like right after Birdman came out, and I was like, they shot a whole film in like 1 take. I can do that in 5 minutes. The worst choice I've ever made. Okay. Our first shoot night, we finally started filming at like 8:00 at night, and we went through the track because up until the like reveal is all one shot, so it's a solid 3.5-4 minute tracking shot that goes all around a house and then through it and back outside, and there's like squibs going off and stuff, like little and you had some like visual effects too. You had like a knife plunge into someone as well, which was, I thought, was like, well, that was very ambitious. Like you could so like that first night, I think we shot until 5:00 the next morning. We went 14 times through, and I realized the next day we didn't get it. We didn't get it in 14 takes. And I was like, wow.
Oh no, I have to invite all these people back.
Oh, no.
So, and like I was lucky, like some people couldn't because of scheduling, and like I'm still very grateful that they were there, and I feel so bad that they couldn't be, you know, part of the product that was shown, but we finally got it like 8 more takes later. It was just, we had so many moving parts, and
well, I completely understand that, because I think back then that was the first year we stopped doing it at the bar, and then we went to the banquet hall. Banquet hall was the first year that Neil participated, and it was on like a makeshift projection screen that I made out of an old backdrop and wood. And then we had your friend Brandon
bring speakers.
Brandon
the
brought
day
speakers
of.
the day of. Thank you, Brandon. That was like so helpful for us to be able to hear it, because it would have probably been my little boombox, and that would have gone terribly. But yeah, so I mean, this whole thing's been like a work in progress over the last half a decade.
I always remember your films, and I think it's because we share a bit of the same sense of humor. Like, I always notice you have this like little like air of sarcasm to all of your movies, and I think it's brilliant. Like, I always just feel like I'm watching Are You Afraid of the Dark or Goosebumps or something when I watch your movies, especially like when you came up with Scavenger Hunt and everyone's just like, oh, hey, buddy, we gotta go find these items now. Ooh, a spooky house. Let's go in. You know, it was
I
so
love the
good.
color. I love the colors that you put in there. Everything has got a very specific color palette. Like when you with Scavenger Hunt, we had like the greens and the reds, and I was like, "That's awesome. That's great."
That was
using color.
That was fun. And the location for Scavenger Hunt, we were doing with like a bunch of the people who were part of the film and myself. We're doing Rocky Horror Picture Show, like just like a live cast in front of the screen kind of thing, something like the Detroit Actors Theater Company does every year. But we were doing it in this church that had been abandoned for like 5 to 10 years. And the basement in Scavenger Hunt is the basement of that church, and it had not been touched. And there was like dust like 2 inches thick on the floors and stuff. It was the grossest thing, and everybody was sure it was haunted. And I was like I walked down there the first time. I was like, guys, this is where I'm shooting the movie. I'm shooting the movie here this year. Like whatever I get, this is where we're shooting. And then everybody got sick for like a week after.
Did anything crazy happen on set while you were in those basements?
I wish.
Nothing.
That's the horror movie.
I wish. I was like waiting for something, but no. Besides like bugs, like that was it. But there were a lot of bugs. So.
Well, you also had. Now, was it an alien or a monster, or because that's never
it was
just
monster. Well, that was the
well,
genre
a
was
monster, an alien can be a monster, and a monster can be an alien.
That is
you know,
fair.
So
we had a monster design concept, and what happened was I had gone to set with a couple other people to start staging for the shots, and we still had Dustin Hayes, who played the monster, who was the neighbor in The Misses.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
he was Pigpen in Hennepin County. He was also our prop designer, so that like knife, the knife effect for Hennepin, he had like dremeled out like in like made one from
safe.
scratch. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah.
It was a real knife. It just went straight in.
It went straight
exactly.
14 times.
You went through 14 actors, and you know that was it.
We had Dustin getting ready in makeup like at our house. Well, we went in like to start the set, and they were putting the bald cap on him, and they were running behind, and it ripped. As they were doing it up, it had ripped, and we had a backup one, but they literally didn't have any time. So I was like, well, this is filming on, you know, a time restraint, so we got to cheat you, man. And so that was it. And we focused on the hand, which is very, like, that was the one shot from that film, with the hand reaching around the doorway that I was like, goosebumps, stay out of the basement. Like, that's what I wanted, you know. But yeah, that was very much the intent of especially that film, was the throwback to Erie, Indiana. Are You Afraid
Oh
of the
my
Dark,
God,
etc.
Erie, Indiana! I remember that. God, that's been forever since I've seen that.
I mean, I grew up on that stuff, so I think that influences a lot of what I still like, you know?
See, I'm a huge fan of like the Black Mirror episodes, and I'm really anticipating.
It messes me up, man.
Oh, you're not a fan of Black Mirror?
No,
Oh,
I love it.
Okay,
I love it. It messes me up mentally. Though.
She is kind of not against it, but she hasn't watched really any of them at all. I don't know if it doesn't interest
Black
you at
Christmas.
all, Terry.
He always tries to get me to watch it, and I keep saying that I don't want to.
I know, yeah. And I don't push it. I don't push it.
Yes, you do.
Okay, maybe a
Push
little
it a
bit.
lot.
Because there's so many episodes I know she would love if she watched it, but like specifically season 3 with the whole yeah. Anyway, yeah. Not to spoil anything, but yeah, I thought that was fantastic, and I thought she would love it because it has the How I Met Your Mother in it.
Yes.
Ah, yes.
And yeah, she still hasn't watched that yet. Maybe one day she'll watch it.
The John Hamm episode, Black Christmas.
Oh, the Christmas episode.
That one, if we're going to talk about really good twists, that one is
absolutely
just spot on.
Well, and the funny thing about the John Hamm Christmas episode was the fact that it plays into that episode that I'm talking about.
Yep.
Because they use the same technology, and that's the thing I love so
And that
much.
goes through like all of the last season, which is, and it just keeps popping up, and like the fact that they tied it together with, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, I know. I'm really trying to sell this on Terry, I guess, but the last episode of season 3 has Shuri from Black Panther in it, and she's the main character.
Oh.
And it's really good. That's all I'm going to say. But
Was that Black Museum?
yes,
Yeah.
that was the Black
Yeah.
Museum
Yeah.
where they go. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, and the main thing, the reason I love the technology things is like I wish I could get sci-fi every year. And granted, I didn't make a film this year. I didn't make a film last year because I was busy working on the actual event and jobs to pay for it. But I love sci-fi because like my favorite films are always like Back to the Future, Ghostbusters, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, something that takes place with technology. And that's I think why I love those type of shows, because I don't know, technology is what we're using right now, how I make a living. It's,
Right.
Everything is. I always love breaking things apart and putting them back together if I could.
Yeah.
Or just breaking things.
Or just break-
But yeah, so. But what have you? So what are you working on now? Like
That
recently?
is so right now we're actually doing we're extending the cut of the scarf because we're going to submit it to a couple festivals.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's
man.
the immediate plan right
Please
now.
let us know when you're doing that. Let us help. We will chant from the rooftops, like check out this film as much as we can, because I mean that's the whole reason for this competition, is to like try to get people to make things and share it with the world and just be creative and I'm glad you're literally taking it and running and doing such a great job, clearly, because you won. So
Thank
very
you.
much looking forward to a director's cut.
Yes. How did you feel during the night of the showcase? Like, how was that for you?
So here's the thing. There were a lot of strong contenders this year. There absolutely were. First off, the most creative.
Most creative? That
Mr. Jingles.
Mr.
Mr.
Jingles.
Jingles.
Yes.
Tom Savage is the only person who's been there from the
Year one.
very first year. When we were doing our kickoff event and showing at right across the street back when it was Hatchie's, it was the whole thing started with 3 films. There was one from me, one from my roommate Brandon Mata, who is one of the creators of this as well, and Tom Savage. So those are the 3 films that kicked off this whole thing. And we had like 30 people in the audience, but we're like, wow, like look how many people showed up to this whole event. And Brandon won that night, but like Tom was like, yeah, this is really cool. And so he's been a part of it ever since. There were, I think, 2 years that he couldn't participate in it because of jobs and work. But yeah,
Fair.
Anyways, so we're at the showcase.
Okay, I'm sorry. Back to the showcase. Back to the showcase.
Okay, so back to the showcase. Yeah, Mr. Jingles, the creature design, the whole like mythos they created behind that was incredible. I'm really bad with names and
That's
stuff.
fine. Just describe
The guy
it.
who won for Tinnitus 2 years
Oh,
ago.
yes, Nick.
Nick.
Monster Under the Bed.
Monster in the Bed.
So good. Honestly, that and I talked to him after that, and I was like, dude, your film was fantastic. And it should have won, it won most
Scariest. Yeah.
Scariest,
film.
yes.
And second place. It was
Third,
right.
third.
Oh, third?
Yes.
Oh, third place. I'm sorry. Third place.
Yeah, and it deserves it. Absolutely fantastic. The design and the choice, I won't ruin anything. Again, go watch the playlist on YouTube. But Monster Under the Bed, I don't know, just the design with the monster. And
His sister whipped that up. He's like, hey, can you make me a monster mask? And she's like, yeah, okay. And then like 12 hours later, she's like, here you go. And he's like, are you serious? So that's how that came to be.
Well, and also a thing to note is that was the first time he had made a film
By himself.
completely by himself. And he's not, well,
He's a
to-
writer.
To say he's not a
Yeah.
filmmaker is not doing him justice, because clearly he is a filmmaker
Right.
because he made a film.
Yeah.
But he doesn't consider himself a filmmaker, I don't think, in his own mind. But clearly he has a knack for it.
He's always very into movies, and again, he's a writer, so he just sort of, took an idea and ran with it, which was cool. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
yeah.
I feel like we get really lucky. Like everyone in this town is really talented in number of ways, but because you were talking about Nick's sister being able to make up that monster costume and stuff. I mean, even the monster that we had in our bumpers, Missy was able to make that in like a night. And that just blows me away. I was
See,
just
that's
like,
wild.
Yeah, just like, how do you do this? Like, I mean, I consider myself a maker to a degree, but like that's another level of like, wow.
I'm right there with
Creativity.
you. The mask in the scarf, actually. Dan Raymond, who won second place for My Friend the Alien,
Oh,
made that mask in about 20 minutes.
Nice.
wow.
Yeah,
Holy
she just
cow.
like whipped it up. She's like, oh, I'm just gonna do this. She's like, all right, I need some time to dry. Here you go. It's like, this is awesome.
It's
like
magic.
this is incredible.
It's
yeah,
literally movie magic.
Yeah.
But and with the second place, I was so impressed by the fact that we had our first claymation film this year, and I'm so happy it was so well received from the audience.
Oh
So-
yeah. No, Dan is so incredibly talented. Yeah. I mean, she helped me out on art direction last year on The Misses, and then she helped me art direct again on The Scarf, on top of doing her own piece, which is phenomenal.
And what's funny about it too is watching the scarf over again after the event and after talking with her. It was funny seeing her in the shoot too. Like, oh, she was also
Yeah.
in your film as well as making her own film. So she found time in between making this stop motion masterpiece and helping you out your film. Which I think is fantastic.
Right. I mean, it's just wild. We're lucky that we live together. So,
Oh well, all right, that's good.
So that's I'm in a relationship with her older sister Jen.
That's awesome.
So the two of us, like that last week, like poor Jen had to deal with both of us as we're going through editing, being like, "This is garbage." This is, just being completely self-deprecating artists in our own sense, and just
One small moment of joy, just for me personally, was that we found out the results on Monday, and our showcase was until Sunday. So for 6 days, Eric and I didn't tell anyone who won at all. And then you two came in together to buy your tickets. I'm just like, hi guys.
because yeah.
Trying to keep it straight face, just like, oh yeah, here's your tickets. Here you go. See you Sunday. Good luck. And I'm just like,
That was the thing.
Yeah,
I was
they
like-
both won.
I was like, because I thought about that after. Honest to God, I did. And I talked to all of them about this because we came in and it was like Saturday, random Saturday afternoon kind of thing. We just stopped in for tickets, and you were just like, yeah, hey, cool. All right, so you need how many tickets? Cool. All right, yep. We'll see you Sunday. And I was like, oh, all right, cool, man. Like
That might have also been sleep deprivation by that point.
And it's so stressful for us too, because we're waiting to hear who's winning, and like the day before, I'm literally printing out and getting the certificates put in their thing, and I'm hiding them, making sure no one sees them, and putting them in the boxes. So yeah, it was really happy. I'm glad I wasn't there when you came in here, because it probably would have said all of my favorite. Hi Neil, oh what's up? Like just totally.
no, you played it
lose
really well.
Yes.
Actress.
So back to the night, though.
Yes.
Again,
Yes.
strong showings from so many people. My good friend Dustin Hendricks, who has been in the
Yes.
competition as long
Yes.
as I think this film, the editing was beautiful,
It
the
was,
intercuts
yes.
and stuff, just great films all around. And like for anyone who is a part of the competition listening to this, like fantastic job.
And see, that's why we hold ourselves away from doing any judging. Because if it was up to me, I'd be like, everyone is so good, 10s all across the board. Well, who's gonna win? I don't know.
Doesn't
So yeah. Well, I mean, that was the thing too. It's never been about the prizes. That the prizes have just kind of been this more incentive to get people involved and to do stuff.
Honest to goodness, it's very much it's a reason to make something.
Right.
You know, and I think that's the best part about it. That's what it's been for me all this, the years I've done it, is like, hey, you know what? I like making movies. I'm going to make time to make this happen.
Yeah, and
And here's a good reason,
So,
absolutely.
did you think that you had a chance to win?
Ooh. So it was rough. So I told, when Stan was like, hey, I'm going to do a stop motion piece, I was like, dude, you're going to place. You're going to place hands down. I was like, nobody's ridiculous enough to try and do a stop motion piece in 2 weeks.
Well, and what's more impressive about it is it was a stop motion piece, because we've had animations before that were fairly short and wonderfully done, but hers was 2.5 minutes. And for those who don't know about stop motion animation, you're doing at minimum 12 frames per second. Each individual frame might take you like a minute to 2 minutes a frame. So, I mean, I have a background in doing stop motion animation. I'm not amazing at it, but I understand the science behind it. And so, for me personally, and that's probably why I'm glad I wasn't judging, because I've been like, she wins! Stop motion! That's amazing! Like, that's the level of dedication I can't even fathom, because I know what goes into that.
Right.
So.
Right. But no, yeah. So going up against like watching these great films, I was very much like, I was nervous. I was very nervous, I think is the best way to put it, because like, as someone who brought this team together, and this was like, I wrote this and I directed this, and like, I was like, man, if we do really bad, or like, like I just kind of feel responsible for letting a bunch of people down, but like that totally defeats the purpose of how much work everybody put into it, like everybody worked so hard on this. So when the winners like got announced, as we got like closer to like once Dan was announced for second place, I was like, oh, me? Like I might have a shot at this year. And then that you guys announced it, and I just like kind of like bolted up, and I was like, all right, everybody come down with me. And then they stood off to the side like super awkwardly. I was like, no, like,
Well, and it was so obvious, I think, in the theater, like seeing, I'm witnessing this from like the front of the stage as we're saying who's winning, and we're seeing people who I knew were not a part of your film, who were working on other films, who were in applause, when you won. And like that, I mean, that just kind of spoke volumes of the fact that they were like, hey, hat goes off to you, like, great job.
And then you got the audience choice too. And the thing with that is that pretty much, it's to an extent a little bit of a popularity contest. People come in, they bring their friends, they're like, hey, vote for my movie, So every year it's like every single movie gets like at least a couple votes. But this year was different, where people, I think, took it more seriously, and we had a lot of films that didn't get votes, and then there were films that got a massive pile. But even with those movies that got like a good amount of votes, yours just far surpassed it. You got 73
which means that like some of the people who were there for their own film, they didn't even vote for their own film. They voted for you, which is just
that's
fantastic.
like wild to me.
Yeah.
That's wild to me. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm not that good of a person. The other years when there's been years I knew I had no chance. I was like, I'm still gonna vote. I worked really hard. I deserve this.
I always thought you had a chance. I was always surprised that it took this long. Like, I've always been such a fan of like the stuff you do. Again, I think it's just because that little like sarcastic air to it that I just like I love so much. It
resonates with Terry so much.
It really does.
Well, thank you. Yeah, no, and. I mean, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, when it was announced, that was wild, and to get audience choice too was just like,
I mean, that's
humbling.
That's got to be the icing on the cake, absolutely. Because I mean, that's something we worry about, is it being just a popularity contest. But because of being voted first, that's completely done by a separate panel of judges. So no one in the audience has any say on it. But to get both, that just kind of proves that.
Right.
It's awesome.
Yeah. No, it was pretty neat.
Cool.
It was a good feeling, man. But yeah, I mean, that's not something even I can take credit, solely for by any means. Our SFX team, Jen and Joan, and Kirsten and Kelly, who helped with script supervising and running the boom, on top of Kirsten having her little cameo where she gets killed.
Oh, actually, I want to ask about that.
Yeah.
So I know. So we're kind of nearing the end of this. I don't want to keep you too long, but that shot that we're speaking of, that you're gonna have to watch the film to see what I'm talking about. What did you use to create the effect of a killing?
Yeah. So that was another thing for like future years. Anyone who's going to enter. Before you write your screenplay, figure out your capabilities for effects. If you want like a good kill and you have it in your head, make sure you can do it, and do it well. Otherwise, scrap it or come up with something else, because that's something where, like, I think it was a super effective shot.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that...
I think Terry and I both squirmed like, oh, whoa.
So that was like, that shot itself was like my baby. When I like, because I knew I could do it, and I was like, oh, I'm writing this in. And so Jennifer, my girlfriend, is a hairstylist, and part of like the Halloween decorations is she has a bunch of old practice mannequin heads.
Okay.
So I ended up taking a saw and carving, excuse me.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So I ended up taking a saw and carving into the head. And what I did is I bolted it from both sides to a like 2x2 plywood board, which we had like held up by two people in front of the camera, which was on a tripod. And I had wanted it so that when it just kind of flops over, you had Stephanie, you know, right in the middle of the shot.
In the background, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
and I had drilled the opposite side I had drilled through and ran tubing so I could run blood through that tube when the whole thing went down.
Well,
So
definitely, well done, because yeah, like I said, Terry and I both like squirmed our seats, like, oh man, oh, that's dang it. So yeah, that was fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was a fun shot to do. It made quite a mess, but
Oh, did it really?
yeah, it's so funny because we're shooting like we're so close, and it's absolutely on purpose, just because, I mean, even though we put Kirsten in a terrible wig to try and match the hair, which we ended up like not even needing that much.
But that works though, because you know they were at a party, so
Yeah.
it absolutely makes sense. If it's a bad wig or if not, hey, they had a Halloween party.
Exactly. But yeah, no, it doesn't, the actual spatter only like shows up like a little bit,
Right.
because we're so close to camera, but it sprayed the side of the house.
Oh no!
So,
Oh, man.
So yeah, Mike got to have some fun with that shot though, because he got to run the axe on it. So
Oh, nice. Yeah, that is awesome, man.
yeah,
I can
yeah.
see being really pumped about it. Like, yeah, I'm gonna use that.
I'm gonna be. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna get this, and like just his motion with it, I think is what really sold it the most, because he like sticks it and then starts like wiggling it back and forth a little bit before he like yanks it out, and we have the reveal.
How many replacements did you have? Or would you only had one shot?
No, so
Okay.
what we did is the head. I left the bottom of the one side on, so it just flopped over, and then we could reset it.
Gotcha.
So yeah,
How many takes did it technically take?
4.
Dang. Okay.
4.
Wow.
Yeah, it was actually that last one we did.
Oh,
Mike and I were both.
Here it is. Here it is right now. We're gonna watch this real quick.
I have the sound off.
Yeah. Sounds off. That's okay.
Oh, it's not playing.
Oh yes. Oh, you see, there's that awesome spatter. If you want to see what we're talking about, you got to go check out the scarf on Horror Film Roulette. Or when are you thinking about what I guess contests, or not contests, but like screenings are you planning on doing the scarf at in the future?
So that's actually something Mike and I are supposed to meet about next week. There's a couple short like horror film festivals. LA's coming up in January, so it's like by the end of November you have to submit for it. There's a couple that'll be like months out, but
Let us know if you need us to pull it down online.
Cool.
Because I know some places you're not supposed to have it on
no, that's actually really good
social
to know.
media. So yeah, if we need to pull it, then I'm sorry, everyone. You're gonna have to wait till the actual director's cut hits the internet. But yeah, we're totally cool with that, because I mean we want people to pursue this kind of stuff. So
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, man. No, I appreciate that.
absolutely. Well, I mean, I think that's good for tonight. Thank you, Neil, for coming in and helping us out with this like maiden voyage of this podcast. Maybe we'll try talking with some more people in the Horror Film Roulette, community. But yeah, again, thanks, man.
Hey, thank you.
So
Thank
glad.
you for having me.
Oh, one last thing.
Yeah.
Have you done anything with the drone yet?
Yes.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. No, so I actually I need to get back out, but last weekend was the first time I like got to take it out and like downloaded the app and everything. And with the, especially like with the fall colors right now, like I need to get out this weekend and just shoot like weather pending as much as I can.
I think we have like another week and a half left before they just all fall to the ground.
Right. Yeah. No, I've just been focusing on like how to maneuver it, do different things because it's got like these presets and stuff.
Oh, I have no idea.
It's wild. It's so cool.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing what you're gonna create with that. So.
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
awesome.
Yeah, no, thank you guys for having me, and thank you guys for everything you do with this competition and the local film community. I think that's really this is the coolest thing around.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, it's definitely a labor of love, and I mean, yeah, we don't do it for money. We do it for just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it started off just as a way to get. This was our way of not doing Halloween parties where you wake up the next morning and not remember what happened. It's like we'll have a documented night of all the fun videos that people made. So, all right, man. Well, Neil, thank you once again. All right, that's our second. See, this is the thing with my family. We do many goodbyes.
It's awful.
It's a total Midwestern thing.
It's a Midwestern thing, I guess. Yeah, we just so many goodbyes. So that all right, we'll try to leave it at 2. Thank everyone for listening. If you're still part of the podcast, and we'll come back, I guess.
Next time.
Next time. Yeah. Anything you want to say to send us off?
No, just thank you again to my wonderful cast and crew, and thank you guys for having me. This has been a great experience.
Very cool. All right. See you later, guys.